I welcome you all to Conquer UPSC. This video will help you in understanding basic or important principles or methods. So let's get it started. Now I'm approaching the basic structure doctrine. Now while discussing this topic, two very important articles, Article 13, Article 368. Article 13 serves as the protector of the fundamental rights, whereas Article 368 holds the power to amend the constitution. Now, when you clash Article 13 with Article 368, some very important questions come before us. Like, can the constitution be amended? Can the preambles be amended? Can the fundamental rights be amended? And the most important of it all is the amending power of the parliament exercised in Article 368 is absolute. Are there any restrictions onto it? But in the end, you will realize the whole discussion is a tussle for power. The question is, who is supreme? Whether the Supreme Court is supreme or the Parliament is supreme. So we'll decide what's the answer is in the series of events, and I'm going to discuss it right now. Now the first case in this discussion is Shankari Prasad versus Union of India. It is the first constitutional amendment where first constitutional amendment act was challenged in this case, and the first amendment act amongst other things is widely it known for the abolishment of zamindari system. So what happened in this act, in this amendment act, was there were certain laws that brought about which were curtailing the right to property. And in order to protect those laws, Article 31A and Article 31B were inserted in the constitution. So people started looking at Article 31A and 31B as an attack to right to property. So the question arose, will the right to property can be amended? Whether the parliamentarians can amend the fundamental rights. As you know, right to property is one of the fundamental right, was one of the fundamental right. The judgment followed that Article 13 clause 2, which is a protector of the fundamental rights, the law in it only means the law in ordinary sense. That is, when law is made exercising the legislative power and not constitutional authority. Therefore, Article 368 include the power to amend the fundamental right. So the question was whether the fundamental rights be amended. What was the judgment? Judgment was anything which is in the constitution can be amended. Let it be fundamental rights. This was the judgment given in the Shankari Prasad versus Union of India case. Now the next case in this discussion is Sajjan Singh versus State of Rajasthan. The 17th Amendment Act was challenged. Why? Because it was restricting the powers of judiciary, powers of High Court. Now, again the discussion started, what can be amended and what particular thing cannot be amended. So in this case, they took a view of the earlier case, that is Shankari Prasad case, and said the meaning of the word amendment of this constitution under Article 368 meant amendment of any part of the constitution including fundamental rights. Justice Hidayatullah and others had a little difficulty in accepting the view that the fundamental rights are nothing fundamental to the constitution. Even they can be amended like other part of the constitution. In this judgment, it was also said that if Article 368 do not have the power to amend fundamental rights, the parliamentarian can at any point of time do suitable amendments and include those powers. So finally, in Sajjan Singh versus State of Rajasthan, it was settled, yes, whole part of the constitution including the fundamental rights can be amended. Now the next case is Golaknath versus State of Punjab. Again, the 17th Amendment Act was challenged. This time, the question was whether the power to amend fundamental right is limited or unlimited. Now, this case is important because 11 judge bench was constituted. Such a larger bench was constituted for the very first time. In this case, everything was reversed. The Supreme Court said that the power to amend the constitution, including fundamental right, is not unlimited power. It is subjected to the limitation of judicial review. So this case is important because until now we had settled position that 368 had an unlimited power. That is, even 13 could not stop 368, but this case reversed the positions and said what? No, Article 368 is subjected to limitations of judicial review. The Supreme Court even went ahead and said the Parliament does not have any power to amend the fundamental rights in the way of amendments, other general ordinary amendments. Further, the ambit of Article 13 clause 2 was discussed. They said that the word law used under Article 13 clause 2 includes amendment, and if any amendment violates fundamental rights, it would be void. So you see, up till now, there have been a tussle for power, for who is supreme, whether the judiciary is supreme or whether the parliament is supreme. In the Shankari Prasad case, it was settled the parliament is supreme. In the Sajjan Singh case, again it was settled parliament is supreme. But for the first time, in the Golaknath versus State of Punjab, it was said no, Article 368 is subjected to limitations imposed under Article 13. So the judiciary is supreme. Finally, the parliamentarian could not digest what happened in Golaknath case. So they came up with 24th Amendment Act. Did the following changes in Article 13 and Article 368. First, in Article 13, what they did was they included Article 13 clause 4a, which said nothing in Article 13 would apply to Article 368, which means that anything can be done under Article 368 and it would not attract the attention of judicial review under Article 13. Then under Article 368, they change marginal heading. Previously, it was the procedure for amending the constitution. Now it reads the power of the parliament to amend the constitution and the procedure thereof. Lastly, they added clause 3 to 368, which said nothing in Article 13 shall apply to Article 368. So the crux of the 24th amendment was to exclude the applicability of Article 13 onto Article 368. Therefore, everything that was held on Golaknath case holds no value after the 24th Amendment Act. After the 24th Amendment Act, it was clear that the Parliament can dilute the Constitution, including the fundamental rights. Now the next case need no special mention, that is the Keshav Nanda Bharati case versus State of Kerala. Again, the 24th Amendment Act was challenged in this case. The question arose that what does the scope of amendment that the Parliament can reserve? Now this time the Supreme Court gave a very balanced judgment. They said that the power to amend the Constitution was already implicit in the Constitution. The 24th Amendment Act was merely made it explicit or declaratory. However, they said the basic feature cannot be amended. So in simple words, the crux of Keshav Nanda Bharati case is that You can amend the entire constitution to form a new constitution. However, it should survive through its basic feature, which means that there are certain implied restrictions for the amending the constitution, and the basic feature cannot be amended. Coming to the question of scope of amendment under Article 368, the Supreme Court said that it was not the intention of the constitutional makers to use the word in its widest sense. It was their intention on belief that the fundamental rights along with the fundamental features would always survive through in a welfare state. Now the question comes, how far can the provisions of Article 368 be amended? The Supreme Court said that the increase or decrease in the power of 368 should be such that it should not lead to the total destruction of the power, and the degrees should be such that it should not mean freeing from all the restrictions. So what they mean was, an increase or decrease in the power of 368 should not authorize the legislature to destroy the basic features of the constitution. That's it. The next case, now this case is very important, Indira Gandhi versus Raj Narayan, as it qualified certain features as basic feature. Also through this case, clause 4 and clause 5 were added to Article 368. Now what are the importance of these two clauses? These clauses said that even if part 4th of the constitution be amended, it cannot be qualified to question in any court of law. They clearly said that there is no limitations to the power of the parliament to amend the constitution. Now this case put to the end on the controversy of who is supreme, the Supreme Court or the parliament. They said that the parliament is supreme because parliament represents the will of the people, and the people want to amend the constitution. They can exercise these powers through the parliament, through the parliamentarians. There should be no limitations on that. The Supreme Court in this case also said that the theory of basic structure is very ambiguous and vague. An addition of clause 4 and clause 5 in Article 368 rectify the situation. Now this is the last case of our discussion. In this case, the Minerva Mills versus Union of India, the validity of the constitution, the validity of the 42nd Amendment Act, as well as the two clauses which were inserted, clause 4 and clause 5, by the 42nd Amendment were challenged. The Supreme Court said that these two articles were attacking the basic structure of the constitution. Therefore, the Supreme Court held it unconstitutional. After this case, it was finally settled that the constitution is supreme and the parliament cannot exercise unlimited power, unlimited amending power. And finally, it was said that the constitution is the precious heritage. So who is supreme? Constitution is supreme. Then the any judiciary and parliament. And therefore, you cannot destroy the identity. Okay. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and understand most of the things. अगर आपको समझ आया है तो प्लीज लाइक, कमेंट एंड शेयर. अगर नहीं कुछ समझ आया है तो प्लीज आस्क your doubts in the comment section. We will be happy to help you.